Jimmy, tonight I'm going to give you a chance. I have with me a copy of Rostand's Cyrano de Bergerac. It's from the French, you know.
Let's wait until after the show and look at the pictures together.
James, this is a great part for you. You play the role of Cyrano, a man with a prominent proboscis.
I'll make up if I have to.
You won't have to.
Do I have a big part?
Well, you're the motivating character in the play. Now take this scene, for instance. Cyrano meets the Duke of Valvert, and they get into an argument about the size of Cyrano's nose. This is a big scene where you really get a chance to act.
Good. Let's go.
Very well. Here's the parts now. Correct. You're Cyrano, and I am Valvert.
You said, sir, my nose is large.
Yes. But I could say the same thing in 1,000 different ways, varying the tone. For instance, if I were aggressive, I would say, sir, if I had such a nose, nothing must serve, but I must cut it off.
But, Velvet...
If I were amicable, I should say, it must be in your way while drinking. You ought to have a special beaker made.
But, Velvet...
Descriptive? It is a crag, a peak, a promontory. A promontory, I say. It is a peninsula.
But, Velvet...
If I was inquisitive, I would ask, what may be the use of that oblong receptacle? Is it an inkhorn or a scissor case?
But, Velvet... This is a great part I got.
Do you so dote on birds?
But, Velvet...
You have, as a fond as a father, been at pains to fit the little darlings with a roost?
But, Velvet...
If I were blunt, I would say, tell me, when you smoke, is it possible you blow the vapor through your nose without a neighbor crying, the chimneys of fire? You call that a nose? You don't fool me. It's either a prize carrot or else a stunted pumpkin.
I may get the Academy Award for this part. Velvet!
You were splendid, James, and in parting I use the words of the immortal bard. Good night. Good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow that I could say good night till it be morrow.
You certainly could. Good night, Velvet. Now I'm going to brush off the culture and get back to the real me. You know, the bum. Throw another log on the fire, boys, while I unveil a tale. Let me hear that band. You know, I've been all over this continent. I've been from coast to coast. I've even been up as far as Quebec, Mass. I've fought my way up the Nile to the very top floor, and I've even tracked the polecat to its pole. You know, I've had the yellow jack, and I've been shot full of holes. I've even grabbed an army mule plucked by the plumper. But I've never been so rip-sort, highfalutin mad, as the night I was reclining my Louis XIV derriere. It all started when the telephone tinkles. Picking up the receiver, I said, oui, oui. You see, it was a French phone. The Secretary of State was calling. He said, Jimmy, we need you for an important mission. Do you know anything about foreign relations? I said, foreign relations? Well, you're talking to a guy who's got 15 relatives living in Brooklyn. How preposterous. So I says to him, Sec, I addresses him in the subjunctive. My regrets, but I never can voice business over the phone. I'll see you tomorrow in D.C. at p.m. sharp. So that evening, at cocktail time, I gets aboard the Congressional Limited. The train was jammed, so what happened? I had to share my upper berth with a guy named Joe. It was too crowded up there for both of us to get undressed at the same time. So, I comes down, Joe stays up, he takes off his coat. Then Joe comes down, I goes up, I takes off my shoes. I comes down, Joe goes up, he takes off his shirt. Joe comes down, I goes up, I takes off my pants. I comes down, Joe goes up, he puts on his pajamas. Joe comes down, I goes up, I puts on my pajamas. Now we're ready to lie down and go to sleep. And what happens? It's morning. We've got to start all over again. So I comes down, Joe stays up, he takes off his pajamas. Joe comes down, I goes up, I takes off my pajamas. I comes down, Joe goes up, he puts on my pants. Joe comes down, I goes up, I puts on his shirt. I comes down, Joe goes up, he puts on my shoes. Joe comes down, I goes up, I puts on his coat. Now I don't know whether I'm Joe or Joe is me. It's a case of double indemnity. He gets off at my station, I gets off at his station. His wife runs over to me, throws her arms around my neck, gives me a kiss and says, "Congratulations, Joe. You're the father of a 9-pound baby boy." What a dilemma. But what could I do about it? Nothing. So I went to Hoboken to forget it. And then I went to Hackensack to forget Hoboken. That's my story, boys. So throw another log on the fire. What? No more logs? Good night, boys. Good night.
Thank you, Jimmy. You're strictly wonderful. Well, fellas, if you're in the market for a ballad, comes now one of the loveliest of the season. I Dream of You. If you please, Sergeant. I'd like to deliver just one personal message before they pull down this connection between here and wherever you're listening. A few months ago, when I was jeeping around the far shore in the ETO, I met a lot of swell audiences and shook a lot of swell hands. And by the way, guys, I've delivered practically all of your messages that you asked me to take home. But I remember one audience in particular our pasteurized unit played to. They were from the 29th Division. There were a lot of GIs sitting way back in the audience. I noticed them just as I was hitting the last 8 bars of I'll Be Seeing You. I didn't get to meet them, so I don't know their names. They didn't look like any movie heroes in their battle dress, and they could have done with a shave. But I like their smiles, and they seem to be pretty swell Joes. If you happen to be one of those guys, I'd like to say that I wish we'd had a chance to meet. Maybe we will someday. Just don't forget that there's a gal back here who's wishing you smoother sailing. A gal named Dinah.
That about does it, fellas. This mail call letter closes with signatures from Dinah Shore, Jimmy Durante, Monty Wooley, Carlos Ramirez, Virginia O'Brien, the Armed Forces Radio Service Orchestra, and yours truly, Wendell Niles. This program was arranged with the cooperation of the Hollywood Victory Committee.